Hey everybody, and welcome to Mediocre Gamers, where we discuss all things gaming. I'm Caleb, and I'm joined today by my co-host Crimson.
Yo!
Now, we've got a little bit of a different show for you guys today because we've been playing some different games. Crimson, I heard that you've been playing Subnautica and that it got its full release finally. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Subnautica was a game that I played when it literally first went into alpha. Um, it's during that survival phase that I'm still in, I guess. With 7 Days to Die, Subnautica the Forest, and a couple other good games.
Hmm.
And it was okay, but there wasn't much to the game yet. There just really wasn't much added into it. And then um, they released it. So I went back, checked it out, and whoa, game's amazingly well done. It's much more polished, and it gives you that need to want to move the story along. It almost has that Civ like, where you could look up from your computer a couple hours later and be like, "Whoa, it's been like 5 hours."
Nice. Is it
Yeah,
kind of the what No Man's Sky should have been?
yeah. If No Man's Sky was underwater.
Gotcha. It's
Now,
No Man's Ocean.
yeah, pretty much. Although the downside is like you don't the map isn't super big, but
Okay.
because there's not just X and Y but Z with depth, it does make the game bigger.
Fair
And
enough.
yeah, I mean anybody who's has a chance to get this game, I definitely suggest getting it. I think it's like 25 on Steam. It's completely worth it. Especially if you're looking for a single player experience. There is no
Hmm.
multiplayer in this game. It is just a straight up survive game. And then
It's you against the elements.
pretty what you against demonic, evil, alien leviathans. Yeah.
Fair enough.
uh, and it's scary. The game is scary.
Okay.
Um, the gist of the game is you're gonna end up in this water world sort of thing, and you're gonna be in a shallow part of the ocean. It's all pretty bright colors. Nothing's trying to kill you. It's nice. You're gonna gather copper and titanium and get pieces of your wrecked ship and build fins and oxygen tanks. Then you're gonna go a little
Okay.
further out. You're gonna go
Hmm.
into like the kelp forest, which is this dark area with these long seaweed looking things.
Hmm.
And there's gonna be stalkers, and they're aggressive. They'll come after you. They'll bite you. They'll try to kill you.
Okay.
And but they're not super dangerous. They're easy to avoid once you get used to them. When you first see them,
Okay.
yeah, they freak you out. You're like, holy crap. Then, you know, how this game's set up is that the ocean floor is different biomes. So you have the kelp forest, and then the red plains, which is like this red algae stuff on the ground. So that's why we call it the red plains.
Hmm.
And and you'll have a different type of predator in that area. Those are the
Okay.
three safer zones.
Now, is there full combat or
You
like
you get a knife.
shit? So it's more of a run and hide rather than
In the beginning,
stand and
yes.
fight. Okay. So do you get like actual weapons later on, or
Th- they're not really weapons. You do get a stasis rifle, which can be used to freeze a target. Doesn't
okay?
hurt them, but it does freeze them for
Okay.
a couple seconds. Um, More importantly, is you will get vehicles later,
Okay.
and vehicles will have like torpedoes.
Okay.
So if you're fighting, like if a big leviathan is coming after you, you
Hmm.
might be able to torpedo it and coax it to go a different direction.
I gotcha.
But you're probably never going to kill one.
Okay.
And that brings us to the next part of this game is there's the vehicles. The vehicles are superb.
Okay.
Now you don't start with any vehicles. You have to find blueprints or pieces of another vehicle. You'll study them and you'll be able to create them. Your first one you will probably create is the Sea Moth, which is just that single player person submarine type thing that we all see all the time in movies and things. And it's super good because it has oxygen inside of it. So when you dive with that, you can get out of it. And when your oxygen tank's running low, you go back into the Sea Moth and it'll refill your oxygen tank. So you don't have to go all the way back to the surface.
That seems super strong.
Yeah. But, some of these caves are, 400 meters down, which is an insane amount. Your Sea Moth only goes like 200 meters stock. So you're still trying to get 100 meters back to your Sea Moth most of the time.
Jesus.
So, yeah. But then the next vehicle you get is called the Prawn Suit. Okay. And it's like a mech.
Okay.
It's like a mech suit. It doesn't really float. It will float. Like, you can make it float. But it generally walks along the bottom. And it has...
The question is, do we all float down here?
Yeah. And then it has a mining drill which is the only way to mine some minerals is with the prawn suit. And then it also has a torpedo system, too. But the one that everybody wants is the Colossus. This is your end game. This is literally a gigantic submarine. Okay. And we're talking like Hunt for Red October, gigantic submarine.
Damn.
And it's pretty much a base all by itself. But one of the things that I really like about the game is it has base building. So you will build those habitats under the water. So you've seen like Abyss and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are pretty much building those things. So you could dive in under the water and you could see your base, and it could look like a whole fucking city, with all these tubes going this way into these big compartments, into like a moon pool off of, I don't know, some, what was Sequest? Yeah.
Okay.
So
when it comes to base building, are you doing it like block by block, or are you doing it like piece by piece?
Yeah, it's modular, so it's a piece. So you will build the multi-purpose room, and then you will build a corridor on the side of it, and then you will be able to build like a sensor room.
Okay, so it's less like 7 Days to Die and Minecraft, and more like Legos. Or not Legos, what's the Richter set, where you're like, this piece connects to this piece rather than block by block.
Yep, exactly.
That's okay. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, because this way you don't have to do all the little things. You just have to map out how you want it to be.
Mm-hmm. The focus is more on exploration rather than building.
Right. Now you still want a good build, because you don't craft in your hands. You have to use a fabricator, which there's one in your life pod when you start out the game, and then you can build one in your base.
Okay.
So anytime you need to build something, you have to go back to your base.
Do you also have to like eat and drink and stuff like that?
Your choice. If you play survival, you do. But they have a mode that is exactly the same as survival called freedom. Everything is the same except for no drinking and eating. So you get to choose.
It sounds like they actually they kind of checked all the boxes off here because for survival games for me, because you know me, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with them. You are all love for survival games,
Oh yeah,
so
the,
there's
the
definitely a
harder
contrast. Do what?
the harder they make me drink and eat, the better I am.
Yep. See, I am the opposite in a sense. Like, I don't mind having to eat and drink, but there have been a couple of games that I've played where it's like literally every minute, every couple of minutes, I have to drink and eat. And then it feels like I'm playing eating and drinking simulator and not a survival game. So I
Yeah.
think there's a delicate balance to be had there of balancing how often you have to do that with how much gameplay you get to do between that.
Okay.
And it sounds like Subnautica kind of hits the point of going, you can do this, and it appeals to the hardcore survival fans. But we also have a mode that literally takes that one aspect out and focuses entirely on exploration. So for the more casual survival gamers, it seems like it's got both.
And on top of that, they also have the normal creative um, mode, so that way you can do creative.
Where you don't die.
Right, where you just have everything available. All the stuff is there.
I
That
gotcha.
type of mode. But then they
Now,
also,
what happens if you die?
in the normal game, if you die, you just respawn at your um, life pod.
Okay.
Nothing bad. Just boom, you're respawned at your life pod. You don't lose any items. You don't lose anything like that.
Okay, so it's not like permadeath and shit like that.
That is the fourth mode.
Oh,
You could do the
okay.
survival mode, but it also has permadeath and no longer gives you oxygen warnings. Which sounds like it's not a big deal, but those oxygen warnings,
Are
yeah.
important.
Because it'll say 30 seconds of oxygen left. And you could
And
be
that
like,
way you can actually plan, okay, I can go grab this thing real quick and then still make it to the top.
yeah. Or most of the time you're just like, oh shit, run, 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 get to the top.
Gotcha.
Yes. Oh, I barely made it. Without those warnings, yeah, it could be real bad.
So what mode are you playing on? Just regular survival?
The Let's Play that I'm doing for YouTube is
Mm-hmm.
survival. So eat, drink,
Okay.
normal mode.
Okay.
I also have another game where I'm doing like a different base and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want to make it so that way I was screwing up my YouTube one, and
I gotcha.
that one's just on freedom. So no drink, no food.
No permadeath? You don't.
No, no,
Do you even survival, Murphy?
no permadeath on this run. Maybe someday. Although I haven't died yet, but
There you go.
I've come real close.
I feel like for me and you, any games that do a hardcore mode like Diablo 3 and any sort of permadeath, I just don't think it's for us.
Yeah,
We would get way too frustrated.
I agree.
I can't even imagine playing like 7 Days to Die with permadeath.
Oh, there's no way.
I would I would fucking Alt F4 uninstall that game so fast.
Although, actually, like base 7 Days to Die, I
Yeah,
probably could do permadeath on there. I don't
yeah.
remember the last time I've died, other than
Mm.
to a fucking wolf in my last couple playthroughs.
We need to pick that game up again.
Really fun.
I missed that game.
As long as you don't, blow up your friends, it's fine.
Yeah. It's fun as long as you let me know when there's fucking landmines all over the place.
Yeah. Well, in that game, I've been playing the Ravenhurst mod, which is like even hardcore eating, drinking survival game.
Hmm.
Like, it takes like 7 real life days to grow food. So
Holy
you
shit.
are doing a lot more scavenging.
I gotcha.
but I enjoy it a lot.
Well, that's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, but with Subnautica, one of the really, really good parts is the story. It's actually a survival game with story.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't have. I mean, it's got way more story than 7 Days to Die.
Hmm.
It's probably not going to have as much story as, say, another game we're going to talk about later. But,
Maybe.
since I did read ahead in the notes, but
Yes.
it does have story. Like,
Okay.
there's a point where you're getting communications from, HQ. There's a point where someone tries to rescue you. There's all these different things that are going on, and
Okay.
if you watch my playthrough on YouTube, I think it's episode 4, which will be up in about a day or two. So about the same time this gets up,
Hmm.
um, you'll see some of those beginning story points, and man, it was so depressing. Like,
Oh, damn.
like literally, it was depressing for me.
That's bad.
Yeah, and I do like the collection part. I like the vehicle, and I like the base building. Right now, I have a stack base,
Hmm.
so I have the same room on top of each other to make a tower, and then
Hmm.
I have things going out to create a moon pool and a sensor lab. So
Okay.
it just it's really nice. Like you wouldn't be able to do that in some other games.
Hmm.
And I've had such a wonderful, wonderful time playing this game. I definitely suggest people check out the YouTube channel and watch that video. Um, it's just so crisp. Did you get a chance to see it?
I got to watch part of it, probably maybe 5 or 10 minutes of it, and I kind of got sucked in because I was like, "Oh, hey, he uploaded the Subnautica one." So I went to share it on Facebook, and of course, it was playing in the background while I'm sharing it, and then I just kind of sat there and was watching it, and I'm like,
It's
"This
beautiful.
game looks real fucking cool, and I want to play it."
The bright colors, the
Yeah.
under, but then it gets fucking scary.
See,
Like,
this is a game that because we've never talked about this before, really, and mostly because it's far out of our price range. But this is the one game that from seeing some of the gameplay, I haven't seen a lot, but I've saw some of the announcement stuff when it was in early access, and then watching your stuff. This is the only game that has made me go, I want a VR headset.
yeah, like no joke. I would love VR in this game.
Yeah. And it is VR ready. Like it is VR
Yes,
capable.
and
So
it's
that is this is a game that I will be picking up when I get a chance. But it feels like this is the one of those games that is designed to go, we gave you a solid game, and for the first time ever, we gave you a game that is worthy of getting a VR headset. Because
yeah,
most of the VR titles are shit. Let's be perfectly honest.
they really are.
Yeah, but this one is like, wait a minute. So it's a full survival game with a story, although it's light on story, and intuitive gameplay and immersive gameplay. It is absolutely beautiful, and you can play it in VR.
Yeah,
Shut up and take my money.
and speaking of the VR, like part of the game is like you always are looking through the goggles, anyways.
Exactly.
So it has that feel already because you don't get peripheral vision in this game.
Hmm. Yep.
And then on top of that, like one of the problems with a lot of VR games is movement. People get
Hmm.
very motion sickness when their character's walking.
Yup.
But swimming, people don't have that same because it's, a full spherical movement versus just a single line movement. So
Exactly.
I think that makes a huge difference too.
I think so. And I think that will, if one of us ever gets a VR headset, this is definitely one of those games that I would like to come back to and be like, this is how good it is in VR.
Yeah, this is definitely a game that I would severely think about in VR. Same thing
Yep.
with like Fallout. Fallout would be another one that I would like to play in VR.
Yep. And I'm still curious how that one works because like they came out with the Doom VR, but it's a completely different game. It's you're playing as like one of the scientists who died but is still in spirit form and can like take over systems and stuff. You're
Yeah,
not playing as Doom guy running around kicking ass.
right.
So I'm curious how the Fallout 4 VR is, if it's a completely different game or if it's literally Fallout 4 with a VR headset.
Yeah, or Skyrim VR.
Let's go. Oh god, Skyrim VR would be amazing.
How about they just give us Skyrim or Elder Scrolls 5, please, or 6?
6, yep.
Yeah, give me my 6.
Because they still have they haven't put Skyrim on the 3DS yet.
Oh yeah, you're right.
The original Game Boy.
And my iPhone. So yeah, I guess we
Yeah,
got.
exactly.
Guess we
So
got about five
until
more
it's
years.
been I feel like Skyrim is that game that everybody loves, of course, but it's trying to take over the universe. Like it's like, "Oh, hey, did you know that you can play Skyrim on your smart TV now?
It's
Did
trying
you
to
know that
escape the
Netflix
internet.
has a Skyrim extension? Like what the fuck?"
I mean, it's on Switch.
It is on Switch, which I feel like is a solid place for it to be. Like
Oh yeah,
being able to take Skyrim with you,
on the go.
awesome.
Oh
Yeah,
man, I really want to Switch.
I do too. I'm waiting though because I'm still weary of it. One, they have not released Virtual Console for it, and that is the biggest thing for me because since I travel on occasion, I want to be able to have a handheld device like a Switch because it's perfect for travel and be able to go, you know what? I've got Breath of the Wild, I've got Mario Odyssey, I've got what is it, Xenoblade Chronicles, and a couple of other games. But I also have Super Mario World and what's
Chrono
the A
Trigger.
Link to the Past and just all these really good long classic games that I can just pick up, play for a bit while I'm on the road, and put down. And that's been my biggest problem lately of trying to find a console. And I've been looking for handhelds too, like Switch and Vita and stuff like that. And I just can't find one that has the games I'm looking for.
Dude,
And I think
you know
that
which
once the
one it
Switch
is,
gets
right?
Virtual Console, I'll be a lot happier.
That's a super easy one to fix. It's called a
Huh.
PSP.
I have one. I do have
Still,
one of those.
still the best
But
goddamn handheld out there.
it really is. And I guess the Vita is really good,
I have one.
but do you like yours?
Oh, I love mine. I love my
Okay.
Vita.
Because it's basically like a portable PS2, right? Like that's the software in it is
Oh,
about that level,
oh yeah. I
or
mean,
or is
I,
it PS3
I
level?
would say it's closer to PS3.
Okay, because I saw that like Borderlands 2 was on there, and I'm like, shit, that was a PS3 game.
Yeah, and it allows um, the ability to play from your Vita.
Yeah, it does the remote play thing, right?
Right. So if you need to go take a shit, you could take your Vita in the bathroom and still be playing, you know, South Park.
Gotcha.
Whole but fractured butthole. It's
Yep.
great.
See, that's really cool, and I don't know, like I'm looking to get a PS3 because there's so many games. Like I was on the PlayStation Store just like looking through the games and trying to compare whether I wanted a PS4 or a PS3. And I had about 8 or 10 games for PS4 that were on my wish list, and I had 68 PS3 games.
Jeez.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I feel like the PS3 is winning here. But the Vita also has access to a lot of good stuff. But I look at the Switch and I go, the Switch is the portable console that I want.
Right.
It's kind of got it all, but it doesn't have it all yet.
It just doesn't have the Sony games.
Well, that, but it doesn't even have like
Super Nintendo games.
yeah, it doesn't have Super Nintendo N64. And I'm like, you give me that and you've got a customer.
Yeah.
even
made
at
okay.
that high of a price point, I hate that price point because it is expensive, and that machine
$2.99.
is fairly cheaply made. Like there's only two pieces of metal in the whole thing,
Yeah.
but it's still solid plastic. Like it's well made plastic, but I just it's new. There's only a couple of games on there I give a shit about, and it's
Right
a
now,
really
yeah.
high price point.
Yeah. Man, if it was 250 instead of 3, I
Yeah,
probably would have bought one already.
I feel the same way. I feel that way with a lot of the consoles. I'm like, you're just a little too expensive for me to justify it right now.
Okay.
Kind of like the PS4. Like, I'd love to get a PS4, but I'm like, well, I don't have one,
Yeah.
so the Pro would be the smarter option because it has the better graphics engine and the better CPU in it.
Yep.
But it's more expensive, and I'm like,
Ugh, I know.
I don't have a 4K TV or anything like that, which it's still better even if you don't have one because it'll make some of the games run at better FPS. But it's just like I miss having a console, just having one, just being able to be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna pick up this controller and I'm gonna play a game.
Yeah, I have 3 consoles hooked up to my TV, and I don't ever, pretty much ever use any of them.
Yep, that's bad.
Yeah.
Well, none of us have had really a lot of time to play anything, so much
Actually,
less go and pick up Horizon Zero Dawn and play it for 20 hours or whatever.
actually, the only console that I really still play constantly is my old
Mm.
Nintendo.
Is your old Nintendo?
Yeah, the original
Nice.
1984 Nintendo. I love
Nice.
that damn thing.
Very
Because I
nice.
have the games I want for it.
Well, that helps.
Yeah. And, the nice thing about the Fire TV stick is I was able to hack it and put Super Nintendo games on it.
That's true.
Yeah. And I got a couple arcade games on there through a MAME emulator and stuff. Like,
Yeah, and then you can just hook a controller up to the Fire Stick because it's Bluetooth, isn't it?
yep. I literally bought a Bluetooth Super Nintendo controller.
Nice.
Yep.
Now, I did buy a PS4 controller to use on my PC because I've been playing stuff like Hollow Knight and the new Humble Monthly is going to be Dark Souls 3, and the Dark Souls games. I don't know. I have Dark Souls 1 and I couldn't play it because it's like you need a controller to play this. I'm like, I have a keyboard and mouse. Eat a bag of dicks. And then I'm like, I'll just rebind these. Oh, I can't. Okay. Um, all right. So I can kind of mash buttons and hope I hit the right things.
Yeah, and
So I was
Hollow
like,
Knight. I was
with
looking at your
Dark
video.
Souls 3 coming out for Humble Monthly, I'm like, I need a controller.
Yeah, and I was looking at your video for Hollow Knight, and I couldn't even imagine playing that on a keyboard and mouse. That'd be like playing Castlevania Sympathy of the Night on keyboard and mouse.
It's not too bad. It's not as bad as you would think. Only for the sense of like you jump and then hit, hold S to aim down and then, click. Like I had to rebind all the keys basically because for some reason platformers always put like the movement as your arrow keys. I'm like, I can't do
Yeah.
that. I play first person shooters and stuff like
Broforce.
that, so it has to be WASD or I can't do it. But a controller is definitely a better option for something like that. And I've got just a bunch of games that would work really well with it. Pyre would work well with a controller, and apparently Steam has full support for PS4 controllers now. So I ended up saving myself like $50 from getting a Xbox One controller because I would have had to buy the controller, buy the plug and play kit, or the charge kit, and the wireless adapter. Well, with the PS4, I just had to buy the controller and the Bluetooth adapter.
Did you ever think about the Steam controller?
Briefly,
Like, it looks like a good controller.
it does. And I actually had this conversation with a couple of my friends about it because some of them got it, and I watched some reviews on it, and it's a controller that's not a controller
Okay.
because the second thumbstick is actually a touchpad, and I'm like, well, that's kind of interesting, and it could theoretically offer a new way of using the look mechanic in games.
Yeah.
But when I was watching the reviews, everybody was like, "This game isn't, or this controller is not good with FPS games. If you are
Oh.
playing a shooter game, this trackpad is going to kill you."
Okay.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Shit." And it also is battery operated. It's not rechargeable. And I'm like,
Oh
"Are
no.
you kidding me?"
Fuck that. It's got to be rechargeable nowadays.
It does. And that was the other thing. Like the Xbox One controller is also still battery, and I'm like, Sony's been doing rechargeable controllers since PS3.
Yeah, without
Like,
charging us extra for it.
yeah, I'm like, what year is this? Why are we still using batteries for anything?
I know they're
So
so bad on the environment too.
they are. They're expensive, especially if you're using them a lot. Like if you are playing your Xbox every day, you're gonna run through batteries real fast. Like I will say that a pair of double A's will last you probably a week of play for Xbox, and that's great. But I'd rather just be able to plug it in and charge it, but also it not cost me $25 extra.
Yeah.
So that really solidified my choice for the PS4 controller. And I watched some videos on it too. And I'm like, how easy is it to connect? Is there lag? Because that's been the big thing that for the PS3 controller was if you connect it to your PC, you have to
Yep.
use a third-party program, and it's super laggy and
Yep.
unstable. But they're like, nope, it's easy to connect. There's no lag. It works great.
Yeah.
Boom,
And
sold.
I've
Now I
tried
can.
both the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4 controller
Mhm.
connected to the computer, and it's a world of difference.
Yeah, and the fact that like you can actually use the touchpad on the PS4 controller as a trackpad,
Yep.
like fuck you, Steam controller.
Hell, my Vita would be a better controller for my computer.
What's that?
My Vita would be a better controller for my computer.
No shit.
It's got a
Uh,
touchpad and a touchscreen.
there you go. See, um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm wanting to play some of these games. Brothers, A Tale of Two Souls or something like that. I
Good
think
game.
is what it's called.
Good game.
That game requires a controller to play,
Yep.
and I'm like, I've had that game for like 2 years now, and I haven't been able to play a minute of it. So I'm definitely excited to do that. And we've gone completely off topic and are just ranting about controllers and consoles now.
That's okay.
See, we need RJ back.
Well, I mean, I was pretty much done with Subnautica anyways.
Gotcha.
My ending points is just, hey, go out there and buy it. If you can't afford to buy it right now, go watch me play it. Go watch somebody play it. Mighty
Yep.
Jingles, he's doing a playthrough through it. You know, something. Because it is amazingly fun and it's a beautiful game even to watch.
Yeah, and just everything about it, like you were saying, the color, uh, just the color palette. It's beautiful. There's a wide range of colors. It's very bright. The art style is really cool because it's slightly cartoony, but not like Borderlands TF2.
Yeah.
Like it's cartoony in the sense of that they can get away with um, lesser or less graphically intense models while still having that immersion.
Yeah, they
It's
don't
kind of
have to
like World of
run.
Warcraft, where it's like everything looks great because the character models match the environment. And that's what Subnautica looks like.
Yep.
Except not like World of Warcraft. It looks way better.
Oh, yeah. So, what have you been doing this week?
Well, since we're talking survival, we'll just jump right to the Long Dark. This game's weird.
This is a game I've been looking at for a long time.
You are a survival person, So I feel like you would love this game. Um, it's I'm playing through Wintermute, which is the story mode,
Okay.
and there's story mode, and there is like just a free roam survival kind of 7 days to die ish or whatever, where it just throws you on the map and you go.
You live.
Um, do what?
You live or you die.
Yes, exactly. But this is when I think of survival games, this is survival to me. It is pure survival. You have to find, break down, and craft everything. Nothing is just like, oh hey, I need this. Like you'll find some stuff like beef jerky, so you don't have to cook. You'll find a can of soda, so you don't have to melt snow to make water, and just stuff like that. But for the most part, you see a crate, a wooden crate, you have to break it apart to get wood planks, and then you can use those wood planks to build a fire.
Okay.
Kind of stuff like that.
Now, one of the things that has always been intriguing for me with you on survival games is, as most people who listen to us know, you are a vegan. Now, does that translate into games? Do you, even a digital form of yourself?
Like to an extent, it depends on the context. Like I played Far Cry 3, and that game involves hunting and skinning animals to get crafting materials to craft like ammo pouches and stuff like that. Now, when you do so, it just shows like a short animation scene of you stabbing nothing. Like it doesn't show you carving up the animal. It just shows you pull out a knife and you just kind of drag it across the screen, and then you put something in a bag.
Okay.
That I wasn't okay with it, but I'm like, it's just a game, whatever.
It's not real. It's fake.
Yeah, it's not real.
It's like
now,
watching a movie and seeing, a horror movie. It's not real.
Yeah. It's so there's kind of a double-edged sword with it though, because this one on the other hand shoves it right in your face. And so the first couple of days you're just doing regular objective things. Get your body temperature up, and then it will cut to the next day. Find food and do this. Okay, cut to the next day. Blah blah blah. Well, now that I'm actually in where I'm trying to get somewhere and I'm actually exploring, it's like, hey, you need food. I'm like, okay, well, and it tells you to listen, because this game is heavy on audio cues. So if you hear growling in the woods, you need to fucking move, because you're about to get attacked by a wolf or a bear and you're gonna die. If you hear crows flying overhead, then there's a chance that there is going to be a dead body around that you can harvest for meat. And that was one of the first things. Was I found a deer that had died in the storm, and I harvested it for meat, cooked it, did whatever. I've seen and done worse in video games. Then it goes, hey, you need to hunt to get food, and I'm like, all right, whatever. And it's like, pick up the rocks and throw it at the rabbits. I'm like, okay, whatever. Threw the rock, stuns the rabbit, and it's like, now go pick it up and kill it. I'm like, what? And so I went over and I picked it up, and it literally, you pull the rabbit up to where it is looking you in the eyes, and it's alive, it's just stunned, and it's literally whimpering and squeaking at you, and it says, left click to kill, right click to release. And I'm like, right click to release. Fuck this game. So I went and watched a video right after that. And I'm like, okay, what are some of the ways to get food? Because I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And it showed the first thing was the rabbits. And so I got to see the actual animation. And yes, you literally grab their head and you fucking twist it and snap their neck. And it shows it.
God.
And I'm like, I'm done.
Like,
I'm like, I will fucking starve. Thanks. and this and now here's the thing though is,
Sad thing is,
and
I'd
I've
probably do the same thing too.
yeah,
That's a little too
like
much.
it's like, okay, this is now crossing a line for me. Like it's now, because I actually felt sick. Like when I was actually holding the rabbit, I was like, my stomach started to turn and my anxiety went really high.
Holy
And I'm
crap!
like, I actually started kind of shaking. I'm like, okay, this has crossed a line of, it's not just, hey, this is a digital game, it's just fake, it's whatever, because now it's actually in your fucking face.
That's like me in heights on some
Yeah.
games. Like my anxiety just goes boom, and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's like you
step
trying to
away.
play fucking Mirror's Edge.
Oh yeah, that was me literally throwing up on my keyboard.
Yep. Um, but yeah, so I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it at all. So now I've been asked this before from a few people of, well, what if you're on a deserted island? What if, blah blah blah, whatever. Okay, here's the thing, and this is my perspective on it for this specific instance. Okay, so let's say I'm playing this game. Let's say this is real life or just the game. Doesn't matter. Uh, I go and I kill those rabbits, right? Let's say I kill 5 rabbits and that feeds me for 3 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then that means I have to kill another 5 rabbits or a deer or whatever else to feed me for a couple more days. So, in the essence of things, I am now killing, let's say, 28 animals a week, just spitballing a number out there. 28 animals a week to survive in this
Shithole.
Arctic wasteland. Yeah, in the elements, right? So that's 28 lives murdered in a week versus my one.
Yeah.
It's 28 animals to sustain one life. So that's kind of where I land on it, is that it doesn't really make sense in the grand scheme of things of, okay, so I'm going to end tons of lives to save one.
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm one of those people that is, the needs of the few, or the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Yeah. And some
So,
people would say, "Oh, well, a human life is worth more than, an animal's life because we think and they don't." Blah 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 blah. Bullshit.
except most animals are smarter than most child humans. In fact, pigs are one of the smartest animals in the world. They can actually play video games.
And
They
we slaughter
recognize
them
faces.
by the
They actually
millions.
know their names.
Yeah.
But we eat them for bacon. Well, some people eat them for bacon. But so it to me, those people are idiots that say those things because, again, it's backed by science, not a fucking BuzzFeed article.
And again, on a desert island, you will have other ways to sustain yourself.
Yeah. And one of my favorite arguments with that was, okay, let's say you're on a deserted island with, I think it was like a cow or something like that was the original question, and they go, well, what are you going to do? Are you just going to starve, or are you going to eat the cow? And the response was, well, I'm going to follow the cow around and see what it eats, and then I'm going to eat some of that.
Oh shit.
like what Ian Malcolm said it best. Life, it finds a way.
Yeah. And
So
I'm not a vegan, but
mhm.
even my non-veganism, I don't think I'd kill the cow.
Yeah.
Now I might go fishing instead.
Sure.
I'd probably eat a whole lot of seafood, oysters, clams, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I probably wouldn't kill the cow.
Yeah. Now, my instinct is to go, well, what's the difference between the cow and the fish?
That's a hard thing to ask.
Exactly, because there isn't.
And there isn't. Except for, in my brain, I would go, one's a mammal and one's a crustacean.
True. But they're all sentient beings, which means that they actually have a central nervous system, which means they all feel pain.
Right.
They also feel emotions, So
which is
therefore, if you go and you kill, let's say, 10 fish, then you're killing 10 lives that actually knew that they were being killed and were wondering why.
right. Which is
Versus,
why
let's say, the
you're the vegan
cow,
and
which is
I'm not.
one. Now, I'm not saying go kill the cow instead of the fish,
No.
but you get what I'm saying. And it's definitely been a chore, especially in this area, as you know, that
Oh, I
people
bet.
are very ignorant. And by ignorant, I mean fucksticks and idiots. But
And a lot of it comes down to your own sensibilities as a person. Like for
mhm,
me, I wouldn't kill the cow just
sure.
because it's messy. I mean, most people don't understand how messy it is to kill,
Yeah,
a mammal to begin with.
that is true.
Even killing fish is messy, but if you're doing like crabs or clams, that's a little less messy. Um,
Sure.
but it really does come to down to your sensibilities.
Yeah.
Mine's a little
And
bit different than yours,
yeah,
but there's some people out there who would literally kill the whole planet because
it's true.
our president.
Yeah. Yeah, no shit. But also there's the people who are out there who would, even if, rescue was coming in 30 minutes, they would kill the cow just to spite vegans.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to if we think before we take an action, whether it's justified or not, that is really
Hmm.
the most important thing we can do is think before acting.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that has been an issue here is that people have created a disconnect with their food. So when they see, a slab of bacon, they don't see what it is. They see
Right.
it as it's bacon, and that's what bacon is. Bacon is bacon, but it's not. And if people actually saw how that bacon was made, I feel like they would have a different perspective. Now they may not change, but they would at least have a different perspective,
Which
and
is
then
all
they
you
could
can
they
ask.
couldn't claim ignorance anymore.
Right.
But the fact that, people don't know how their food is made or prepared or anything like that, or the atrocities that go with it, that they're able to sit there and go, as long as I turn a blind eye to it and I don't look into it, everything's fine.
Right. And
And it's that it's willful ignorance, and ignorance is bliss when it comes to something like this.
if people want to learn more about this, there's a couple documentaries they can go out there and watch. I believe
Earthlings,
Earthlings, What the Health.
What the Health is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's really
Forks Over
good.
Knives is another good one. And to clarify, because I've had this conversation with a lot of people as well. And again, this is Mediocre Gamers, not Veganism 101. But since we are talking about ethics in video games, and since I have a unique perspective on it, we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
But um, the veganism is not a diet, but also people confuse the word diet. When people think of the word diet, they think I'm going on a diet. I'm going to do the Atkins diet. I'm going to do the paleo diet, whatever. What people don't understand is that diet means what you consume.
Yeah.
So
It's a way
when
of
somebody
life.
says a plant based diet, that means that you are eating only things that come from plants. It's basically vegan, but not with the lifestyle attached to it. Veganism is a lifestyle of minimizing the amount of cruelty and harm done to animals, the environment, and everything else. So when people say that veganism is not a diet, there is a such thing as a vegan diet because it is what vegans eat, not necessarily that it is a fad diet like an Atkins diet or something like that. So
Yeah.
that is kind of a point that I try to make to people is that it's when you consume animal products 3 times a day or more, that is the most harm that you can do to that industry. Basically, you are consuming animal products 3 times a day. That is the highest amount of animal product usage. So if you cut that down, that's going to be the biggest impact.
A good example is me.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a vegan,
Mm-hmm.
but I do generally only eat one meal per day that has an animal product in it. I've
Hmm.
cut dairy pretty much completely out of my diet
Yep.
due to medical reasons. And so when I eat, and it's not even me trying to, like I'm not a vegan,
Hmm.
but I go, I look through my food stores
Hmm.
and I'll get like top ramen or something,
Hmm.
or I'll get, some toast that with bread that I made personally, so I know what's in it
Hmm. Yeah.
because I just can't have the eggs.
Yeah.
And then I'll put jam on it, and
Yeah.
that's a meal. And yeah, now will I go out once in a while to a Chinese restaurant and get, sweet sour chicken? Yes.
Hmm.
Do I go there 3 times a day? Hell no.
Yeah. And
So
see, but you're also at that point where your health is now becoming, I don't want to say an issue, but more of a focus
very
for
much
you.
so.
And so it is good that you're cutting animal products out of your diet to an extent.
And eventually,
And
I'm probably gonna cut them all out. Eventually.
yeah, and that's good because I would rather encourage you to do what you can now and cut things out now than to be like, no, you're not doing enough,
Yes.
because that will make a person, backpedal and go back to eating more animal products if they're not getting the support for it.
Yeah.
And so I get both sides of the argument of, yeah,
Or,
it's not enough, but you know
or in
what? When a
10
person
years,
is
be
making
dead.
conscious efforts to change what they're doing and it is making them healthier, but also it is, towards the goal that we're all wanting, which is less cruelty in the world,
Right.
I
So
have to support that.
So that's the real difference between veganism and vegan diet. Is one is the focus is the the cruelty of animals, and the other one is the focus of what what can I eat to stay healthy, and the byproduct happens
Yes.
to be less cruelty.
Yes. And
Okay.
that's why usually we consider things that are like for a quote unquote vegan diet, we call it plant based diet because it's
Yes.
not necessarily the lifestyle aspect.
Correct.
Because vegans don't, wear leather or stuff like that. They don't use makeup that's tested on animals. Like there's a lot of layers to it. But somebody who does not eat any animal products, we consider to be plant based, unless they also, have the ideal of not using any animal products at all.
Yes. Which makes sense.
Yeah. And to me, one is a stepping stone and one is the end game. But whatever people can do to cut animal products out of their lives, I will always support it.
Right. Because
And
we all
it's
love animals. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know well, I might know one or two persons, but
yeah.
I don't know anybody who walks up to a cow is like, this is an ugly animal, it needs to be killed. You know?
Yeah.
Cows are
The
beautiful.
the problem that I have with it is the hypocrisy of it. They sit there and, like you said, they go up to a cow and they don't say this is an ugly ass animal and I have to die, but they go and they'll eat, steak 3 times a week. And it's not, again, it's there's a disconnect, but also it's the idea that people will say I love animals and then simultaneously eat them. And what I would like to see is more people making the connection that if you say that you love animals, you mean that you love pets, you love dogs, you love cats, and to try and extend that to other animals.
Yeah, a
What
hierarchy of animals,
if
it
you
seems like.
yeah, if you love cats and dogs, why don't you love dogs? Why don't you love sheep? That sort of thing.
Yeah. And then, of course, you know, at the same point, I think a whole lot less of, or a whole lot more of us would be more conscious of that if we had to kill our own food. Like you said with
Yeah.
the game, you just couldn't
Yep.
do it, and I don't know if I
Yeah.
could do it either. That's pretty graphic.
It was like after watching the video of it actually being done, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to keep playing this game too much longer. Like if I can't find food and I end up just dying from starvation, like I'll just uninstall the game. Like
And you're like,
I'm
hey, this
it
is my
was
story.
graphic to the point of me going, I would rather not play this game if this is what I'm forced into.
Yeah. Which is one of the
But
reasons why I like 7 Days to Die, because it has the option to not
Yeah.
eat. And same with Subnautica. Like,
Yeah.
you can grow your own food. And
Yeah,
you never
definitely.
have to kill a thing.
Yeah, and so I always appreciate games like that because not because it's like, oh, it's catering to me and other vegans and stuff. It's just that it's fucking 2018. And we have this conversation a lot with video games, with movies, with a lot of things because it's 2018, but it doesn't feel like it. It
Right.
feels like it's still 2 decades behind when it comes to a lot of things like this.
We're closer to Star Trek than we are to Jesus, yet we still have these problems.
Yeah,
Think about that.
we're closer to Star Trek than we are to Jesus, but also we're still nowhere near anything for Star Trek.
Yeah.
Not by attitude, not by ethics, and not by technology.
Yep.
Come on, Elon Musk, give me a fucking Enterprise.
But first, sell me a flamethrower.
But yes, first sell me a flamethrower. But by all means, flamethrowers are a terrible idea, and you should not get one unless you like fun.
And don't eat Tide Pods.
And don't eat Tide Pods. That's just plain stupidity. It's 2018, and we're having to tell people not to eat laundry detergent. But back to the long dark.
So it sounds like you can't really give this a recommendation yet. It still seems like a first impression for you.
Yes, and there's a couple of things I do want to point out though. The graphics and art style are fucking gorgeous. They are everything meshes really well, kind of like Subnautica, but it's more cartoony than Subnautica, but it all works. Graphics for it are great, and the art style is great. You can actually adjust the difficulty to forgive or punish you more in the way of survival mechanics. So let's say, like, instead of going, oh, hey, that bear is going to hit you twice as hard and it's going to take twice as much to take him down. It's more like they won't spot you as easily. Your meters drain slower, like your thirst and hunger and cold meters will drain slower on easier difficulties. And you will have more resources, and they will last longer. So that sort of stuff. So if you crank the difficulty really high, everything's going to drain fast, you're going to have sparse resources, burn quicker, that sort of stuff.
Interesting.
But the interesting thing is that everything you do will burn calories, and you have a limited number of calories because of, what you're consuming. Just so like you have to keep your calories up, you have to, and everything takes minutes, hours, etc. So when you're like boiling water, it'll take X amount of time, and it kind of fast forwards. It's weird. I haven't really pinned down the mechanic yet, but like I throw a bunch of wood on the fire and then I go to melt snow and the fire burns out within seconds. Like it shows the timer just ticking down really fast. And I think it's that like it takes 30 minutes to boil this water. So then it goes, it's been 30 minutes. But it's interesting. I would say for hardcore survival fans, this is a game to look at.
I think it's definitely a game I'm gonna look into a little bit more.
I would definitely look into it. Now with the story mode, the one thing that I didn't like is how abrupt the cutscenes are. Because I was literally like, oh hey, I need to go and investigate this thing. And instead of me choosing like, hey, I'm gonna click on this thing to investigate it, which will most likely trigger a cutscene. It's like, oh hey, I step, one more step, and it's like cutscene. And I'm like, well, okay. I don't know if I hope I got all the stuff that I needed, because it may throw me back to camp. So there's a couple of things like that, and so far that I've seen, I can't skip the cutscenes. Not that I want to right now, because I want to, learn the story, but it's like, oh hey, this is a super abrupt cutscene, and you can't skip it.
Okay.
But other than that, and the having to actually murder things and it's right in your face. Those are my only two complaints. Otherwise, oh, and there's no fucking handhold. Like,
Good.
there's a little bit, like it'll say, hey, you need to do this. Kind of like 7 Days to Die. Hey, you need to make a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me see how to make a thing. But,
That's it.
and it does that pretty well, but you're also already on a clock of going, shit, I'm freezing to death, I'm starving, and I'm dying of thirst. So you don't have a lot of time to go, I'm going to dive into these menus and see what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
How do I craft this? How do I do this? It feels like you're constantly dying, basically. So check it out if you can. Usually you can get it on sale for pretty cheap. I would not pay full price for this yet. Like I said, it's definitely still a first impression. I've played about an hour or two. But the story's getting pretty good. And it just seems like once the game opens up, it's going to be great because there are NPCs that you can talk to and they'll like teach you stuff. So you'll be able to learn how to craft or learn better survival techniques and stuff like that through other NPCs. And there it is strictly single player, just like Subnautica. Okay. It's basically it's kind of like Subnautica except
in the north.
Yeah, on a mountain. So, but definitely take a look at it if you can. The other game that I've been messing with is The Evil Within #1. And I'm going to touch on this briefly because I've only played about, I think, the first chapter or something. Most of everything I'm going to talk about is complaints.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, so you're automatically not going to play this game because it's basically Resident Evil meets Metal Gear Solid.
Yep, fuck that.
Yep, because you hate Resident Evil games and you hate stealth games. And it's not like heavy stealth, but the first chapter is because you basically wake up in an insane asylum and you have nothing. You don't have any weapons or anything, so you can't fight. But there's only one dude that you got to get away from, so it's not like you're just having to run away from zombies and stuff. But okay, my first thing is the people who complained about Mass Effect Andromeda's animations have never played this game, apparently. Because, holy fuck. This looks like a PS2 game. The facial animations are terrible. The voice acting is awful. The gameplay itself is actually kind of fun, though. But it has that kind of generic third-person shooter feel. Like, it's kind of Resident Evil, kind of Metal Gear, and kind of Uncharted, but none of them at the same time. It's kind of its own monster, pun intended. But it borrows heavily from those types of games, which does make sense because Shinji Mikami is the one who made it, and he's the one who created the Resident Evil series. So it feels like Resident Evil, but dialed up to 30. Like, it is gory for the sake of gore. To the extent there's an actual option that turns off the graphic content. And I got to the point where I died to the Butcher, which is the guy in the first chapter. I died to him so many times, and it's graphic. I mean, it's straight up graphic. And I died to him so many times that I actually was dreading the animation more than starting over.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just like, oh god, no, I don't want to see this again. Stop. So when I got back to the title screen, I turned the graphic content off because it's just so over the top.
Really?
Do what?
Really? It's just that bad, huh?
It's that bad. Like, at one point, because he's got a chainsaw, and one point he basically goes right through your torso with it and cuts you straight up the middle. Lots of decapitations, curb stomping, just stuff like that. But it pans out as a cinematic to show it. And I'm like, and when you die like 13 times in the first chapter, you're just kind of done. And that leads me to my actual complaint of the game. The animations, I don't give a shit. The voice acting, I don't give a shit. Like, yeah, it takes you out of the immersion, but this is what pisses me off. it is survival horror in the douchiest way possible. There is no hand-holding, but there's also no direction. Everything is trial and error rather than actually like going, oh, hey, I see a bottle over there. If I grab that bottle, I can throw it and lure this guy away. That is the thing that you get to do, except you don't fucking know that. You die like 10 times, and then you're like, oh, wait, let me see if I can go this way. And then it pops up a hint and it's like, oh, hey, you should go hide behind these boxes. I'm like, I didn't know I could. Okay, I guess. And I go behind the boxes, and it's like, and there's no, like, silhouette or glow to objects you can pick up. You just have to walk next to it. And it's like, press E to pick up this bottle. And I'm like, oh. It's like, hey, if you've got a bottle, you can throw it at that door and it'll lure the guy away. I was like, why didn't you fucking tell me that when I walked in the fucking room? Like, I had to die 3 times trying to figure out how to get past this guy before I got to the point where it's like, oh, you are already standing on the thing that you needed to know where it was. So, that sort of stuff. It reminds me of Outlast, but it's third person and you do get guns. Like, you can actually fight, and in Outlast, it's pure survival horror. It's like Amnesia. You can't fight, you can only run. But with The Evil Within, you can fight, you can kill stuff. There's stealth kills. Just so combat is better. I like the fact that it's survival horror with combat, but I don't like games that I can't go, I can use my knowledge to figure this out. It's trial and error. I don't like trial and error games. I don't know how you feel about those.
I like some of them, but most of them, no.
And I don't mind certain things being trial and error, but like so far it's because it doesn't tell you, hey, get the keys off the hook and then go find the door and do this. It literally, the very first thing it does is it spawns you in a room, you're upside down, and the butcher's chopping people up. It tells you to swing and to grab this knife out of this dude that's hanging next to you. You do that, you cut yourself down, and then it doesn't say a fucking thing. So the butcher insta-kills you. So you have to wait for him to leave the room, go grab the keys off the hook, and then go find the door. It doesn't tell you any of that. So your first instinct is you walk up behind it, the butcher, and it says press E to stealth kill. Well, if you press E to stealth kill, he blocks it and kills you in one shot. And I played the demo of it when it first came out. I played it on Xbox, and I literally sat there, and my dad did the same thing. And he's like, I keep trying to stealth kill this guy, but he one-shots me every time. I don't know what to do. So it feels like the old NES games where they didn't tell you shit, so you had to subscribe to Nintendo Power.
Or spend $600 in long distance calling their tip line.
Yep. I remember that story.
I have no experience with that whatsoever.
None at all. But that is something that really irritated me. I don't need a game to hold my hand, but I would rather have an objective. When I spawn in, it basically says find a way out, and I'm like, if I start exploring and I'm like, hey, I found a door, but it's locked, then it should update and say find the keys. But instead it's like, fuck you, figure it out. And so I feel like this is probably like a 5-hour game, but it's going to take me 20 hours to beat just because I'm going to die to the same spot a million times before I actually figure out, oh, there's a switch on the wall right when I walk in the door. So, I don't know. A lot of good experiences with games this week. Now, there is one thing that did happen to me that was fun and funny. And it was in The Division, because all of my fun comes from The Division right now. And this is going to be very quick. It was one instance in the Dark Zone. I had to kill 50 Rikers, I think, which are the guys that come, Rikers prison, in the Dark Zone for my weekly. And so it's like, fuck it, I'll just go in, kill the stuff. I won't loot anything, because if I don't loot anything, it doesn't matter if I die. It doesn't matter if I get ganked, whatever. I'm just going in for this. So I go in, I'm killing dudes, and I'm like, okay, I'm not finding the Rikers. So I figured out where they were. They're kind of in a zone that has a couple of landmarks, and those landmarks are always Rikers. So I was like, oh, I'll go ahead and just do that. Nothing good drops for me anyways. So I go in and clear out a couple of landmarks. Fucking classified backpack for reclaimer drops. And I'm like, fuck. Now I've got to extract. And I'm seeing in the bottom left of the corner of my screen that there is somebody who is rogue running around killing people. So I'm like, great. So I got this classified piece of gear for a set I actually use, and I've got to extract by myself. So I go to the nearby rooftop extraction. I clear it out. I pop the extraction. I clear out the dudes that come to it, because it basically summons a horde of dudes.
Yeah.
Killed all them. I'm sitting there. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. There's 2 events going on in the Dark Zone, the contamination threats and the supply drop. So I'm like, maybe I can do this and get away before people even notice I'm extracting, because they're busy. Extracted. Good. Boom. Awesome. 1 in the bag. So then I go out, and I go to another one of the landmarks, and I only need a couple more Rikers to kill. And so start killing them, whatever. My game crashes. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I was in the middle of it. I had like 2 guys left to kill. So I jump back in. It re-instances me. There's more players in the Dark Zone now than in the instance I was. And there's like 2 or 3 people just running around murdering. So I spawn in at the safe room right where I was, right next to the landmark. I go out. There's a dude clearing the landmark. Now, he's not rogue. He's just clearing it out. So I help him clear that out. The boss drops a fucking exotic.
Oh.
And my first thought, because it pops up, the stack of loot, and I see a red, and I'm like, please be shit, please be shit, please be shit, please be shit. Because if it's shit, I'm just going to leave it and fuck off. And I go over there, and it's a Caduceus, which is an assault rifle I actually really wanted. So I pick it up, and I look at it. It has really good talents on it, and I'm like, shit, I actually have to extract this. And what the Caduceus does is whenever you hit a target with it, it heals you and your party for 1% of your total skill power. So you get life leech for your whole team, basically.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, this gun's real good. And it's a Scar L, so it's a solid assault rifle.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, so there's more people in here. There's more people that are rogue, and there's a player right next to me.
Can he see that you picked it up?
He cannot see what I picked up. He can only see that I walked over to the boss to loot something.
Oh.
But he can't see the item I got or anything like that, or how many items that I have. So he did not do anything. He was obviously working on his weekly as well, because he started going up the street and was killing more Rikers. So I jumped into the safe room again and waited a couple of minutes to hopefully people would disperse from that area.
Yeah.
I come back out. He's still killing Rikers in that area. I'm like, fuck it. I'm just gonna go for it. So I go back to the rooftop extraction, the same one I did, except it's literally right down the road from that landmark. So I'm like, that guy may come up and try to kill me. So I go up there, I clear it out again, pop the extraction, clear it out again, and I'm holding up on the very top of the roof, and my where I popped the extraction was right down the ladder. So all I got to do is basically jump off of that short roof, hook the bag on, and wait for the extraction. So I'm sitting there. My anxiety is at 40. I mean, I'm shaking. My stomach hurts. I'm feeling sick.
And you find this game fun?
Do what? Do what?
And you find this game fun?
Well, I don't find the Dark Zone fun, and I'll get to why. But this part was very interesting, because I'm sitting there and I've got 15 seconds left. I jump down, I hook the bag, and I've got 15 seconds left before the chopper leaves. which means I've got 15 seconds before that gun is officially mine and nobody can fucking take it from me. Okay?
Uh-huh.
I literally hear this. Rogue protocol has been initiated by a nearby player. And I'm like, fuck! So I look over, and across the roof, 2 guys jumped up on the roof, both went rogue, and start shooting at me. And I'm by myself. So I'm like, it's 2-on-1, I'm fucked. I go, but I don't have to kill them. All I have to do is stall them.
Yep.
So they start moving towards me, which is towards the rope, and they can just cut the bag and all my shit falls out, which would just be the exotic. But they can cut the bag, my shit falls out, they can pick it up. So I start shooting at both of them. One of them runs the opposite way and takes cover. The other one is going towards the rope, and I'm just shooting him right in the face. I throw a grenade, he dodges out of the way, the helicopter leaves. That gun is mine.
Nice.
Dude, both of them come up to the top, and I'm like, I'm dead, but I'm gonna let them know right now. So I go into chat, and I'm like, you stupid motherfuckers, you're too fucking late, you sacks of shit. And they stop shooting for a second. And then all of a sudden, the dude that I cleared the landmark with, that was killing the Rikers, he jumps up onto the roof and just starts opening fire on them. And I'm like, 2-on-2. Shit just got real. We melt the first guy, I mean, maybe 1 second, and he's down. I punch him, which is like an execute after they're down. He's dead. His buddy pops his ultimate, which is the revive everyone in your party and heal yourself to full with an overheal. He popped that right after I killed his buddy, so it didn't revive him. So now it's 2-on-1. I'm like, this is it. We're gonna fucking kill this guy. He did not take damage from us. At all. I was shooting him with my AA-12. I was shooting him with my RPK, and I'm using the striker set, so whenever I do damage, I deal more damage. And I got up to like 35 stacks on him. So basically my AA-12 was now hitting 10 or 12 shells, or pellets, for 35% more damage. And his health never went down.
Wow.
So the initial part of fighting, the intensity of trying to extract, getting ganked, killing one of the guys, getting my item out, that was really cool. I never want to do it again. But it was cool. The fact that people can actually take no damage from 2 players shooting the shit out of them is what I don't like about the Dark Zone. And that's why I don't go in there anymore, unless I have to for the weekly.
Yeah, that does kind of suck.
Yeah, and this is why I don't really want to play something like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds or Rust with PvP or 7 Days to Die with PvP. I don't like PvP style games like that because there's always going to be hackers. There's always going to be people who are doing exploits, and they're always going to make the game not fun. And the Dark Zone was a ton of fun until I hit level 30. Because then all the fucking douchebags are in there, and all the people who are ganking people for no reason, and the people who are hacking and glitching and stuff like that. And unfortunately, Ubisoft isn't doing anything about it. But, so I literally just go in for my weekly, which is kill some dudes, some NPCs, and then I leave.
Yeah.
But survival, on the other hand, is a fucking blast, and that is my favorite part of the entire game.
You got that video up yet?
It is processing right now. I don't know how long it's going to take. I set the premiere on Twitch for tomorrow at 4 p.m., so hopefully it will process by then. It's been uploaded. It's just processing.
Oh, well,
so hopefully sometime this week it'll be done. It is 6.1 gigs, so it may take a while for them to process it. But hopefully by tomorrow, it'll be up, and that is my introduction, basically, to survival. It is a full playthrough of a survival match with an extraction, so you get to see the entire gameplay for it. And unfortunately, my mic was not working when I recorded the video, so I had to dub over it. So hopefully it sounds authentic, even though I knew exactly what was going to happen, because I was there. But I also have another video that I'm to do of me and Eric two-manning survival mode. And that one was a blast. So
I'll definitely
hopefully
check it
that
out
one
when
will
it
be
goes
up
up.
too. Do what?
I'll definitely check it out when it goes up.
Yeah, I think you will really like it, and I think it may be what spurs you to start playing the Division a little bit more, because it's survival done right for me. It's because it still has the really good gameplay of the Division, but it has some really hardcore survival aspects, like freezing to death and stuff like that, and
So,
permadeath. It's not actual permadeath, but if you die and actually die, like don't get revived, then it kicks you out of the
mode.
match.
Yeah.
But
Sounds good.
it's a lot of fun. Yeah. That's it for me. Hopefully I'll have some better experiences and more good stuff to talk about on our next episode.
Oh.
But any closing thoughts from you?
No, not just go to the YouTube channel, go to our Twitch channels, check out the videos.
Yep.
You know, I'm still uploading to YouTube because I don't understand the Twitch stuff.
You know, I don't really either, and it's a learning experience. But yeah. I'm trying to still mess with Twitch, but it's almost more work than it's worth.
Yeah. I stream to Twitch, and that's what I do there.
Yeah. If you go to your video manager or whatever it's called on the Twitch website, you can upload there. But it's kind of finicky. You can queue as many videos as you want, which is nice. But every one of them, when you publish it, it will put a 30-second like countdown timer on it, and it will embed it in the video. So you actually have to go to your dashboard and click the X off of that to turn that off, but then it cuts off the first 5 seconds of the video.
Oh.
So it's just a pain in the ass. But the nice thing is I can upload to Twitch, and then I can actually have it also go to our YouTube page. So I can kind of hit both at the same time, which is kind of nice. But otherwise, it's a pain in the ass, and I hate it. But anyways, on that note, as always, thank you all for listening. And you can check out our previous episodes at mediocregamers.com, as well as on iTunes and Google Play. You can keep up to date with us on Facebook and Twitter at 2Mediocre Gamers, and chat with us on Discord. Links will be posted in the description down below. And now get out there and play some games.